Welcome to the Shannon Show, the podcast where we empower career moms to thrive. I'm your host, Shannon Fox, a career advancement coach dedicated to helping moms like you leverage your strengths to land your dream job, secure that well-deserved raise, or finally get that promotion, all without sacrificing time with your family. Each week, I'll bring you actionable strategies, inspiring stories, and strength-based tools to help you align your career with your natural gifts and step into your full potential. So, if you're ready to stop feeling stuck and start building the career and life you deserve, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Today, I'm so excited because we have Imogen Lamport here, who is an internationally award-winning personal stylist and image consultant based in Melbourne, Australia. She has 20 years of experience working with women, assisting them in creating an image that both expresses their personality and gets them promoted. She has been writing the style blog Inside Out Style, which has become an encyclopedia of color and style tips for women since 2008. She's known for her insightful expertise on all topics of color, style, and personal branding. She also has authored 4 books on image-related topics and is the mother of 2 grown-up kids and still can't believe she's old enough to have grown-up kids, as well as 2 adorable whippets. I don't even know what whippets are. She's a lover of things that start with the letter C, including chocolate, champagne, and cashmere, my type of person. Her husband says she works too hard, but she's so passionate about helping women feel empowered by using their image to communicate with impact that she's always looking for new ways to share and help her clients shine. Well, welcome, Imogen. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. And a whippet
Oh.
is a small greyhound.
Okay. I'm like learning all these things here. That's awesome. So for those in our audience who may not have heard of you yet, can you give us a little bit about your story and what brought you to this career path that you have?
Sure. So growing up, I used to, make a lot of my own clothes because my mother was a bit cheap. She didn't want to buy anything for me. So I used to go babysitting, earn a bit of money, go down to the haberdashery store, buy whatever was in the remnant bin and make a piece of clothing. And I'd spend hours making something and it would look terrible. Um, and I go, like the lady on the pattern, she looks so good in this, and I just look like the side of a house. And I'm thinking, well, what is it about my body that means that this isn't working for me? And then I might make something else, a different style, and that would work. And I go, it's interesting that this works and that doesn't work. And I wanted to know why. And I have other experiences. Like I always remember going shopping with a friend of mine when we're about 16, and we went into the local department store. We both picked up the same dress in the same size. And we were about the same height and size and everything, and we both tried it on, and she was like, this is amazing, this is so great, how do you look? And she whipped back the curtain on my dressing room, and I remember going, it's horrible, I look terrible. And I just wanted the ground to open up and eat me. And I remember thinking, why is it that she looks good and I look terrible? So it wasn't that the dress was essentially bad, it just wasn't right for my body. And so it made me realize that there is something about different bodies and what suits different bodies. And I wanted to know that why. And that's kind of what set me down that path, kind of from those teenage years. And it was just, I stumbled across an image consultant giving a talk once. And I was with a friend, and we were talking about color afterwards, and they had this big poster up of different people and different colors. And my friend said, I can never figure out what I am. And I just looked at one. I said, you big one like that. And this image consultant overheard me. She goes, wow, you've got a really good eye for color. Have you ever thought about becoming an image consultant? And it was like, I didn't even know this thing existed. I didn't even know that you could do this. And I didn't know you could get training. And it was like everything I had been searching for is like, here it was. And I could do training, and I could become an image consultant, and I'd always wanted to start my own business as well. So I knew in uni, I was like going, one day I'm going to run my own business. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I wanted to do that. And so it was like all my worlds collided, and here I am 20 years later.
I love that. That is awesome. It's just everything collided. So Can you start off by telling us like why style matters? And I mean, because is it shallow to think that it matters? And you
It's
know,
absolutely not shallow. And in fact, I think back to my childhood. So I wore a lot of my brother's hand-me-down clothes when I was young, and or other people's, things that my mother would get given. And I remember somewhere around the age of 10, I didn't own a lot of clothes. I wore a school uniform, so I didn't need much. And I had one pair of shorts, and there was this pair of navy shorts with a red pocket and a white pocket on the front, but they looked like back pockets, like they were the shape of the back pocket. And I hated them. I mean, apart from they were made from some disgusting 1970s synthetic, but I really did not want to wear them because I thought people will think that I don't know how to put my pants on the right way round because I've got the back pockets on the front. And I realized that it made me not want to go out, not want to see friends, not want to do anything. And what I was wearing was affecting how I was feeling. And it was affecting my confidence. And it was affecting, like just everything about me and how I behaved in the world. And so even from that really young age, I became aware that what we wear affects us in many ways. And so many women tell me how they lack confidence or how they wish they felt more put together. And if they're thinking about what they're wearing, they're not concentrating on the activity that they're doing.
right.
And, this is why people talk about good hair days and bad hair days. That's just your hair affecting how you're feeling, let alone
Right.
everything else. And so really, it's not shallow at all. Our clothes are the things between us being naked and the world. They really do, like they're the closest thing to our skin. They are on our skin, they touch us, and they're actually personal expression. People often say to me things like, oh, nobody notices what I wear, or does it matter what I wear? I said, well, if it doesn't matter and nobody notices, why don't you wear a clown suit to work tomorrow? And they go, oh, no, I couldn't do that. I'm going, so you're telling me people do notice what you wear. That's not, expressing who you are. So this is where, and I'll always remember a friend of mine who was a New Zealander who'd gone through the earthquakes there they had some years ago. And she'd gone to work, and she was a policewoman, and she'd gone to work in her uniform. Her house had been destroyed by the earthquake whilst she was at work. She could not go home. She wasn't allowed in. It was like condemned, too unsafe. So she had no clothes. And she said, people were giving me clothes. She said, but they weren't my clothes. And so I didn't feel comfortable wearing them. And as much as we may think it doesn't matter what I wear or does anybody notice, if you are suddenly, your only choice of what to wear is a whole lot of things that have been given to you, probably you'll actually go, no, I don't want to wear that. And we've all had that experience where you're into a change room and you try something on, you think it's not me, but we don't know what me is. And that's what I give my clients. I explain to them because there's actually a science behind understanding what me is, but it's something we're never taught at school. And so this is something we all have to get up and get dressed every day in our entire lives. And according to current research, we spend $150,000, $200,000 on clothes in our lifetime.
Wow.
Yet most of us wear 10 to 20% of that. So you think about that, 80% of what we are spending is potentially wasted money. So I like to think about what I'm doing is helping people become, more thoughtful, more sustainable, more conscious, and saving them a ton of money in their lifetime.
I can tell you that probably most of my clothes in my closet are not being worn. If I did that backwards hanger and what I wore through the year, there's just certain pieces that I just am drawn to, and that's what I wear. And the other ones are like, that's okay.
So, but part of it, what it is the learning why the things you like are the things you like, and then why you shouldn't buy those other things. Yeah. Because then, you've got more money for the things you like or other things to do, holidays and other fun experiences.
Definitely, definitely. So we have a lot of career women that are listening to us. So what advice would you give them to kind of express their personality, even with maybe work appropriate clothes or even, with the dress codes that many companies have? How can they go in and still feel confident and express themselves in those environments?
So part of it is understanding what that dress code might be. If it's more corporate, say, there's a certain kind of level of refinement we want to wear, but it's still going, how do I do it in a way that feels like me? And so
Right.
part of this is understanding what is alike about pieces of clothing. So it could be looking at some of the garments you own, that you wear, that you love, and then working out what you actually love about those pieces of clothing. Is it the color? Is it the pattern? Is it the fabric? Is it the comfort level? Is it that it's versatile and you can dress it up and down? Is it, the way it feels on your body? Is it the way it makes you look? All those sorts of things. Because once we understand what it is that floats our boat, it's then much easier to go, okay, well, how can I look for something else that has that? Like, for example, I had one client, she was a lawyer, and she hated the kind of boring corporate law, kind of classic suit sort of thing. And she said, oh, look, I'm thinking about quitting law because I just can't stand wearing this stuff. And I said, oh, so we were talking about what she did love, and she loved much more feminine clothing. And I said, have you got anything in your wardrobe that you don't mind wearing to work? And she's actually, I've got one suit. And she brought it out and she showed me. And the difference was, rather than just being a straight kind of masculine classic suit, it was a straighter skirt, but it had a little flippy hem. Then the jacket had a little peplum at the back. And then where the pocket flaps were, they were actually shaped into bows. So it just had that little bit of feminine feel. It still was a suit. It still suited that environment, but it made her feel more like her.
Right.
And so sometimes it's looking at, well, what are the things that I love and how can I bring that into whatever is the dress code that's going to help me get ahead, that's going to express what I wanted to do. So often too, another way to think about it is to think about it like if you were making the movie version of you in your life, what would the costume designer put on you?
Oh, I
Because
love that.
so really, costume is such an incredibly powerful part of any story. And I remember talking to someone who was in the industry, and I was saying, like, one of the first things you see is what the person looks like and what they're wearing, because it has such an impact. Like, we can immediately, um, you know, create stereotypes of people by costume.
Right.
I want to make someone look like a nerd. Well, I might put, oh, definitely they'll be wearing glasses, pretty much. Um, and then there'll be some other kind of signs, and it might be the pants are too short, or that, like there's a bunch of things, and that says nerd to us.
Right.
And so, you think about it, this is a shorthand to explain what's going on in someone's life. And so, what's the first thing that happens when we get sick or tired? It's like grooming goes. Can we be bothered to groom or dress well when we're sick or tired? No. And so therefore, kind of that poor level of grooming says to other people, because we know that's the first thing that goes, oh, maybe they're not coping terribly well. Maybe their life is not together. Maybe they're just teetering on the edge. And so therefore, will I give them promotion? Probably not, because I don't know if they could handle anything more. Now, it could just be you think nobody notices and nobody cares. But in fact, I can't tell you how many managers have told me that they have amazing people in their teams, but they can't promote them because of what they look like.
Wow. Wow.
And it's not, innate beauty. It's just personal presentation.
Right, right. Yeah. They just don't present themselves as a leader.
Yeah. Well, as a leader, they don't represent the company brand. So if you think about that, if you're working for a business, you're a representation of that brand. And there's a certain point where if you're going to be interacting with people outside of the business, that you have to be representing that brand. And if you don't look like that brand, it's very hard to promote you, even though you may do amazing work.
Right.
And be completely capable of it. So sometimes it's this awareness of just how much what we're wearing and how we're appearing is communicating to the outside world. I mean, the current research shows that when 1/10 of a second, we decide how likable, trustworthy, dominant, and competent you are.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's pretty fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very fast.
So, they used to say, oh, you've got 30 seconds to make a first impression, or 8 seconds, or 7 seconds. It's like, no, it's 1/10 of a second.
Wow.
And then we filter everything through that lens that we've made that decision on. Because our brains, there's so much information coming through, our brains are looking for shortcuts
Right.
to make decisions, and appearance is one of those shortcuts.
Yeah. So I've heard before that color plays a role as like there's power colors and everything else. Could you dive into that? Like if you were going on an interview and you wanted to come across as super powerful, or let's say you had a presentation in front of a big room of people, would there be a specific color that would, I mean, obviously you said something that makes you comfortable, but are there colors that show that power?
There's all sorts of different things. What's really, so this relates to the psychology of color, and which is fairly universal, interestingly, and that's because most of color psychology comes from nature, which means you actually know it all already. So we think about a nice blue sky, a sunny day, a nice blue sky. How does it make us feel? It's safe, secure. Trust me, I won't rain on you. You don't need your umbrella. This is why blue in every study has come up as the world's favorite color. Like more people will say blue is their favorite color than any other color because that is the color of the sky on a nice day, isn't it? A massive big black thundercloud comes along. How do we describe that?
Gloomy.
Ominous, threatening, intimidating. Like, so that's what black is. It's not safe and friendly. It's, you know, it's ominous and threatening. So it's a power color, but it's not making people want to get to know you. Right. When we think about where's green, you know, when nature's abundant, there's a lot of green. So green is very calming, very reassuring, makes you feel good. You know, don't have to store my nuts for the winter because there's lots of food around. Everything's good. If we think about colors like red, where's red? You know, it's like it's a ripe tomato, it's a ripe strawberry, which says pick me and eat me right now. So it's an action taking color. It's blood. Do I have to do something? And so red stimulates us and makes us do things. And this is why red is often known as a power color, because it stimulates us and makes us do things. So if you're in a boardroom and you want to have attention, wear some red. You don't have to wear head to toe red. Too much of any color can become, like there's positive and negative associations with every color. So a small amount is good. Head to toe is often too much. So when we think about red, you know, you want to stimulate people and make them take action or make them notice you, because you will pop, wear some red. You know, so blue is the trust me color. So navy is, there's some research that shows that if you wear navy to a job interview, you are more likely to get the job than any other color because it's seen as trustworthy. Now, but if you're going for a job in a creative environment, navy is seen as a bit boring and corporate. So it's not, so this is where it's always dependent on the situation and where you're going and what you're doing.
Right.
So often we want maybe a combination of colors. We can have navy and red, trustworthy but stimulating. You know, so we want to see is creative. What are colors that are creative? Well, what I think of is non-traditional. So we think about traditional business colors. You know, it's black, white, gray, navy, light blue, white.
Right, right.
So you think about, well, if I want to be seen as non-traditional or creative, maybe I'll be going in, you know, purple and green, or, you know, like something that you just go, oh, that's kind of unexpected and different. So really depends on what we want to do and what mood we want to evoke in people, but different colors will have different impacts.
I love that. I love it. I love to wear pink personally. So I don't know what that says about me, but I could dress head to toe in pink probably.
Depends on the sort of pink. So a very light, soft pink is much more soft, feminine, gentle, nurturing. A hot pink actually has red energy. So it is much more stimulating and forceful and vibrant and dynamic. So it really can depend on what version of pink you're wearing.
I like my hot pink. I like to wear hot pink and black. So yes, I love the pop of pink against the black. So there you go. So what advice can you give us about just buying basics like for your whole wardrobe that, you know, that are not relevant to most working women?
So the thing with basics is that not everybody needs all the basics. We're often told, oh, everybody needs a pair of black pants and a black dress and a trench coat and a white shirt. I can tell you, I have thrown all those things out of so many wardrobes because they're not getting worn. Really, what we want is the clothes that work for us and our personality and what our preferences are. So, you know, some people love to wear dresses and other people would never wear them, you know, unless it's a formal wedding. Some people love wearing pants and other people will never wear them. You know, like there is no one thing that we need. So part of it is looking at what's our life and our lifestyle, what kind of clothes we like to wear. And even if we want basics. So there are very basics, which are the very plain, nothing going on sort of things, which are often touted as things everybody needs to own. Yet, I mean, like I like to have what I call non-boring basics, where even in something plain, like say the shirt I'm wearing today, it's got little kind of pleats down the arm. So it's not completely plain. It's not a boring basic.
Right.
It depends how you wear your clothes. If you are someone who's cold and you have to layer up a lot, you may need plainer things because it's hard if you've got a weird sleeve or something to put it into a jacket or layer something over the top. But if you're someone who runs hot, you might actually find all I need is very interesting pieces because I don't layer. I don't put things over the top. So I need my outer, whatever layer I'm wearing to be the interesting layer. And so maybe I need to buy things that have, built-in detail. Now, some of us like to wear a bit of jewelry, which I'm a big fan of, as you can tell, but other people don't. So if you like to wear jewelry, you don't want as much excitement in the clothes, but you want more, so you can layer on the jewelry. Versus if you're someone who goes, I could never be bothered to put on a piece of jewelry, or it's just not something I think about, or it annoys me, like it irritates me, then you want to think about, can I look for clothes that have built-in detail, particularly in what I call the portrait area, because that then draws attention up to your face, but means you don't have to do anything else. So this is where like basics is a bit of a, like white shirts. Like that comes from back in the corporate world when everything was really formal, and in this day and age, we don't need a white shirt. Not unless it's something
mine would just get dirty. I've got kids.
like not unless it's something you really enjoy. And I've actually had a lot of people dye their white shirts into much better colors, and then they can actually end up wearing them. Versus the white shirt was just like, it just says to me, laundry.
Right.
And I don't need more of that.
Right. No. So let's talk a minute about your freebie that you have for everybody, the style and wardrobe tips for busy working moms. And there will be a button below this video for them to download. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I've just put together a bunch of tips to help you kind of create a wardrobe, think about what you need in it. And like when you've got young kids, how to get out the house looking clean instead of covered in banana hands. I always remember the number of times I kind of banana leaves that little white handprint. And just, tips to think about how to create a versatile wardrobe capsules and putting things together, because, when we're busy, what we want is something that's versatile. We want our things to mix and match. We don't want to have to think too much. And particularly when your kids are young, you don't have much time for yourself. And so, but this is where, to make your wardrobe as easy as possible, but still feel good. Because often, particularly when we go through the kind of pregnancy and then birth and young babies, and we lose ourselves, suddenly it becomes about everybody else and never about you. And so it's, working out how to kind of bring you back in so you still feel comfortable and you still feel like you, but it maybe be a bit more comfortable and practical and, than you might have used to have worn. And that even going through to, even if you're going through to retirement is a whole nother aspect of style. We have to completely reassess our lifestyle and what we're wearing, because suddenly we don't need that corporate uniform anymore that seemed really easy, but has now, something that's kind of disappearing. So lots of tips in there, just to help you think about your wardrobe and what works for you and what you like, and building a wardrobe, all those sorts of things.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I know I personally have learned a lot, and I know our listeners have as well. So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Thanks so much for tuning into The Shannon Fox Show. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another career mom who's ready to thrive. Don't forget to grab your free Mastery Zone Discovery Quiz, where you'll uncover your strengths and take the first step toward aligning your career with your superpowers. You can also connect with me on Instagram at the.shannon.fox for more tips and inspiration. Until next time, remember, you're not just building a career, you're creating a life you love. Let's make this happen.